let's get started. This is a fretwork pattern from Handicrafts magazine, dated 1911. I have modified it somewhat. It used to have a slogan in there for matches. It was meant as a match shelf, which I don't want now, so I put some lettering in saying good luck. I'm also going to add a little mouse somewhere on the design, so I have modified it slightly. The first thing I do, print it out. It's been modified on Photoshop, by the way. I print it out on A4 paper, and then the best thing to do is to stick it to your timber, which makes it a lot easier to cut out. What I'm using in this case is some old drawer sides. This is some sort of mahogany from an old chest of drawers. Makes ideal timber for fretwork. I've planed it down, thicknessed it to about 3/8 of an inch, I suppose. And then all you do, you paste the pattern onto the board like so. Generally speaking, I use this cheap gum that you get from pound shops, various pound shops. It's the original gum stuff, and it washes off quite easily if you can't get it off, or you can sand it off. That's what I use anyway. It's dirt cheap. You get 4 for £1. Glue the pattern on first of all. I often cut round the pattern to make it easier. You glue it onto the wood. It's also a good idea to use a backing sheet. So what I do, I take a piece of plywood or something like that, or a similar one, and cut the two together. If you put two together like that, it serves two purposes. One, you get a second copy at the back, which is often okay to use. Also, it acts as a sacrificial piece so that you don't get any cutout on the back from the saw. The cutout will be on this piece, not this piece, so you get one decent one and one fairly decent one behind. So what I do after the pattern's set, I'll fix the two pieces of wood together by putting a few of these small panel pins. I just use panel pins, and I put them through in the places where the wood's going to be cut out. Like for example, down here in the middle of the pattern, and here, and here, and various places. Once I've done that, then generally what I'll do is cut roughly around the pattern to make it more usable. And I've got one here I've already started, so we'll go to that one now. This is the... Oops, it's all falling apart. This is the piece I've already started to do, and you can see I've started to cut round. I've cut roughly around it. I haven't cut properly yet. These are the little nails that I've put in to hold it together, which keeps it quite firm. Make sure they don't stick out the back. I've hammered them over on a piece of hard metal so they don't stick on the saw. I've started to cut this out roughly. You can see the sacrificial piece behind, which will act as another copy if I need it. I have done a bit of cutting just to try it out. The next stage thing to do is basically drill holes around the pattern where you're going to have to put the saw through to cut out, like here, here, and here. So what I'll do, I'm just going to get the drill. This is just a little hobby drill, and I'm just going to drill holes. I won't do them all. I'll just do the old one or two. Just drill holes straight through where you've got to put the saw through, like so. When you're using when it's a big cutout like this, you can use a fairly large drill. But if you get into very tiny ones, on some patterns they're very delicate, then it's better to use a much smaller drill. So you just go around the pattern, basically drilling all the holes out. I won't go through them all now. I'll do those later and then come back to it. Okay, that'll do for now.